Time of the end, ethkets, time of an event, time of extremity. Early in the morning on October 7, 2023, militants from the blockaded Palestinian territory infiltrated Israel with paragliders as well as boats and motor vehicles in a brazen Saturday attack. The wave of coordinated attacks across southern and central Israel is the heaviest in years and comes as the country marks the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. The Hamas attack was openly praised by Iran and by Hezbollah, Iran's Lebanese allies. Hamas is an acronym of Haraka al-Muqawama al-Islamiyya, literally Islamic Resistance Movement, is a Palestinian Sunni Islamic fundamentalist, militant, and nationalist organization. Canada, the European Union, Israel, Japan, Australia, the United Kingdom, and the United States have designated Hamas as a terrorist organization. Hamas is not considered a terrorist organization by Brazil, China, Egypt, Iran, Norway, Qatar, Russia, Syria, and Turkey. Much of the world is dividing into two opposing factions centered on the nation of Israel. On October 1, 2024, Iran directly attacked military bases located in Israel. Approximately 180 missiles were fired toward Israeli territory, the IDF said after the attack. It appears from the scriptures that at the time of the end there will be a war in which Iran, the ancient land of Persia, will be totally destroyed. While the prophet Daniel was in captivity in Babylon, he had a vision of the time of the end. Daniel 8:16. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Daniel 8:17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Daniel 8:2. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Daniel's vision might mean that he seemed to be in Persia, or that the vision was represented to him as being there. But the most natural construction is to suppose that Daniel was actually there himself. Although Daniel was a captive in Babylon, he held a very high position in the government, and he may have been on a diplomatic mission to Persia. The scene of this vision was in Shushan the palace, one of the royal seats of the kings of Persia, situated on the banks of the river Ulai, which surrounded the city. It was in the province of Elam, that part of Persia which lay next to Babylon. Daniel 8:3. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns. And the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Daniel 8:4. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. According to most Bible commentaries, this vision was concerning ancient Persia. However, we know from the direct interpretation by the angel to Daniel that it is concerning the time of the end. Daniel 8:5. And as I was considering, behold, a he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Daniel 8:6. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. Daniel 8:7. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Again, most Bible commentaries identify this ram, which had a notable horn between his eyes, as Alexander the Great. However, the plain interpretation of this vision is that this horn is a ruler in power during the time of the end. If we are presently living in the time of the end, I suspect that these events will soon play themselves out. According to the prophet Jeremiah, Elam will be completely eliminated in the latter days. Elam was an ancient civilization centered in the far west and southwest of modern-day Iran, stretching from the lowlands of what is now Khuzestan and Elam province, as well as a small part of southern Iraq. Jeremiah 49:34. The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam, Persia, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah king of Judah, saying, Jeremiah 49, 35. Thus says the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Jeremiah 49, 36. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds. And there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. Also, according to the prophet Jeremiah, his prophecy is concerning the latter days. Jeremiah 49, 39. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. Since I believe we are currently in the latter days and the time of the end, I suspect the attack by Hamas on Israel is a precursor to Elam's final and total destruction. This war that totally defeats Iran apparently leads to the revealing of the Antichrist. Daniel 8, 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. Daniel 8, 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. The little horn is also referenced as the beast in the book of Revelation. Daniel 8:10. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Daniel 8:11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Daniel 8:12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Daniel 8:13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Jesus Christ speaks about the abomination of desolation as the primary sign to look for before his second coming. Mark 13:14. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that reads understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. Next, the angel Gabriel comes to Daniel and gives him an explanation of the vision. Daniel 8:15. And it came to pass, when I, even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. Daniel 8:16. And I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. Daniel 8:17. So he came near where I stood, and when he came I was afraid and fell upon my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Gabriel explains to Daniel that the vision concerns the time of the end. Daniel 8:18. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. Daniel 8:19. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. Again, Gabriel reiterates that the end will come after this vision is fulfilled. Daniel 8:20. The ram which thou saw, having two horns, are the kings of Media and Persia. The Medes and Persians were the two people groups that occupied ancient Iran. Daniel 8:21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Although Gabriel identifies the rough goat as the king of Grecia in most Bibles, the original language identifies him as the king of Javan. Javan, a son of Japheth and grandson of Noah. Although nearly all commentaries identify the rough goat as Alexander the Great, once again I need to emphasize, the messenger said the vision was at the time of the end. So swift was the career of Alexander's conquests that the goat seems to speed along without so much as touching the ground. With irresistible fury in the great battles of the Granicus, BC 334, Isis, BC 333, and Arbela, BC 331, he stamps to pieces the power of Persia and of its king, Darius Kodomanus. In this short space of time, Alexander conquers Syria, Phoenicia, Cyprus, Tyre, Gaza, Egypt, Babylonia, Persia, Media, Hyrcania, Aria, and Arachosia. In BC 330, Darius was murdered by Bessus, and Alexander became lord of his kingdom. Alexander does seem to fit this vision to perfection, but oftentimes prophecy seems to occur like bookends, with a type of the prophecy occurring hundreds or even thousands of years prior to the actual fulfillment of the prophecy. 1 Corinthians 10:11. Now all these things happened to them by way of example, and they were written for our admonition, on whom the ends of the ages have come. Next, Gabriel explains that after this war against Persia by the king of Javan, a king of fierce countenance would stand up. This future king is identified as the Antichrist by almost all commentaries. Daniel 8:22. Now that being broken, whereas 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Daniel 8:23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Daniel 8:24. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. This king of fierce countenance appears to be unbeatable, but we are assured that when he actually comes against the Prince of Princes, Jesus Christ, he will suddenly meet his maker, so to speak. Daniel 8:25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the Prince of Princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Daniel 8:26. And the vision of the evening and the morning which was told is true. Wherefore shut thou up the vision, for it shall be for many days. Daniel was later told that after the abomination of desolation was set up, we could begin a 3.5 year countdown to the end of the Antichrist's rule. Daniel 12:11. From the time that the continual burnt offering is taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there will be 1,290 days. Watch Iran! If you find these videos to be informative, please like and subscribe. Have a great week. God bless you.